Hi, my name is Aaliyah. If you haven't been to my channel before, I'm going to attempt to do a vlog for at least part of October of finishing up some of my horror reads that I have. I have a bunch started. I always have a bunch of books started. I tend to read a lot of books at once. I start things, don't always finish them. So I have quite a lot of horror adjacent books that I've started, and I'm going to try and finish as many as I can this month. And I'm going to start by kind of giving an overview of the books that I have on my Kindle, some of the physical books that I have, and showing on my Goodreads what are all the books that I have that I've started and haven't finished yet. This is my currently reading list on Goodreads. So this one is horror, I would say. Strange Pictures by Uketsu, and it's stories along with a picture or a few pictures that are hand-drawn that kind of give you a little bit of information about the mystery that is central to the story. My Sister the Serial Killer, I would not call that horror. It's maybe a little more of a thriller. Not exactly Julie Chan is Dead, the same thing. That is more of a thriller. Kawabana, True Japanese Scary Stories from Around the Internet, Volume 1 by Tara A. Devlin. That I got in a mystery book package where you can just get a book and it's wrapped up and you have like a genre. And I've liked it so far. Kill Creatures by Rory Power. This one is YA, and you actually from the beginning kind of know what would maybe be considered the big twist, but then you're trying to figure out other things surrounding what happened during a particular event, and so far it's good. I've been having to continue to check it out through the library. A lot of things I read from the library, and so they can take me a while to finish. Dead Girls Walking by Sammy Ellis. That one I also would say is a horror because it's about this main girl who's a teenager, so I would say this is YA, and her father is in jail for being a serial killer. And I mean, so far in the book, I'm unsure if she thinks he is or isn't, but she's at what is now a camp for teenage girls, but used to be where she lived, used to be their house, and is kind of trying to find something in particular there. Listen to Your Sister by Nina Veal. This one also is definitely horror. It's very family-based, mostly focuses on 3 siblings. I'm not super far into it yet, but it's interesting so far. The Book of Bill is from Gravity Falls, the animated TV show. I mean, it's not like scary or anything, so I don't know that I would call it horror, but like it is kind of, spooky feeling. The Spite House by Johnny Compton, I barely started that. It's got a nice start to it, and I'm interested in the premise, which is a haunted house and a family staying there, and I like haunted house stuff, so I do want to get back to it. 13's Kate Alice Marshall. This is middle grade, and I've read a few things from her and I've liked them, and I don't know how much I call it horror just because it's middle grade. So I mean, for a child, I don't even know at least so far, I would say it'd be scary, but it's got like spooky vibes to it. It's fall vibes. And I do really like it so far. I like the mystery to it and the atmosphere to the town. The world of lore, monstrous creatures, Aaron Mahnke. So many years ago, I think more of when it was new, I did used to listen to the lore podcast, and I would like to go back to it at some point, and I really liked it. And I bought this ebook when it first came out, and I just never read it. And I started reading it a while ago and just never finished it. But it is very interesting. It's different cultures' stories of creatures. And I mean, I love folklore. I find all of that very interesting. Venus in the Blind Spot by Junji Ito. I have this physical, and I am trying to read as much Junji Ito as I can. I love his art and stories. I would like to, at some point, actually just kind of read through his collections chronologically, because I've been able to find a lot of them at the library. And then Small Spaces by Catherine Arden. I actually have read this before, and I was rereading it and just never finished the reread, but I would like to, because there's at least one other in the series, but I think there's more than two. And this was a really good middle grade book. Surprisingly spooky and probably scary for a child. For a children's book, it was surprisingly spooky. So I really enjoyed when I read it the first time, I remember. And it goes back and forth between modern times and back in the past. And there's some inanimate objects that kind of come to life and going after children. Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones is the last horror book that I have on my to-read list, or that I have on my currently reading list. I started this. That's my guinea pig. He wants to be fed. It's not time yet, baby. I know. Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones is the last horror book that I have in my currently reading list, and it's a novella. It's less than 200 pages. I started it a while back, many months ago. I'm like halfway through it, and I really liked the twist that it's taken. It's gone a different direction than I expected, so I thought that was cool. It was sad, but I enjoyed it. Where it's gone so far, so I am excited to see where it goes next. I've read a little bit of Stephen Graham Jones, and I do really like his work. This is what I have right now on my Kindle. Kill Creatures is from the library. I was borrowing Strange Pictures, but then it was on sale on Amazon, so I was able to buy it. My Sister the Serial Killer, I bought that many years ago and only just recently started reading it. Julie Chan is Dead. That was on sale a little while ago, so I was able to buy that. I bought this whole set from Amazon, which is their originals. They have these little sets of stories that different authors write, and this one was around creatures. This one is the last one in the series. I've read all the others. The Empty Man. This is a follow-up series. It's a comic book. I read the first series, which was just called Empty Man. This is Empty Man. Was it Recurrence, I think? And I haven't started this yet. There's Lore, that I own. This is just a random romance I bought at some point. I don't read a whole lot of romance, but at one point I was getting a lot of free romance books and stuff. Most of it disappeared from my Kindle, I think, when they did that update. And then this is some of the other stuff I've gotten from the library recently. So Listen to Your Sisters there. Another is a middle grade by Paul Tremblay. I read that recently, and it was a really good middle grade book. So that is something I highly recommend. I think it's good for the age group, but I also enjoyed it as an adult. Spite House I had borrowed at some point. We Came to Welcome You, I've started, but not only a few chapters. I'm not very far into it. But I've liked the other 2 books by the author. I would recommend both of those books. They're very good. My favorite was their first one, Burn Down, Rise Up. That was my favorite of the 2 that I've read. And so I'm not done with this. This I read last year, I think. Out There Screaming is an anthology collection of horror written by Black authors about Black horror. They're all very different, but it was really good. All the stories were really good. There wasn't a weak one. I recommend that too. There's another Junji Ito. A lot of this was stuff now that I read last year. So this is the collection that's from. So Joe Hill, Grady Hendrix, Josh Mallerman, Paul Tremblay, and then these 2 authors I actually had not heard of. So out of what I've read, the Joe Hill one and the Grady Hendrix one, I think were probably my favorite. And I do really like Joe Hill's stuff. But I mean, I've liked Paul Tremblay as well. This is what I'm eating. This is pizza from a farmer's market near my brother. We were just visiting my brother, my sister-in-law, and their little baby. She's almost 4 weeks old, and they're not too far away from us, so we go to visit them as much as we can. That is my guinea pig in the background. Hi, baby. We've been away basically the whole day, so he's very upset with me. Yes, I know. Cappuccino, the guinea pig that is closest to me, he's my little baby, even though he's almost a senior in age, but he's the baby. He sometimes likes to yell at me when I'm not paying enough attention to him. I know, baby! So this was just heated up. I don't know that I'm going to eat all of this, but I have this. I have YouTube video that I started this morning, and I do have my books over there and in there. I'm switching it around to my face, but you're probably going to hear Cappuccino in the background. He's just being very noisy right now. They did just get a snack when we got back, so he does not need anything right now. He's just being noisy. Yeah, you're being a nudge. You are. And then he looks at me and he says, what? I have a video I'm working on. I have, the books I would like to read. I'm very tired. We went on a walk with the baby. She's just now starting to go into her stroller and go outside. I might be spending the week with them next week. Not this week, but starting on Sunday to Sunday. Me and my mom and dad have all been kind of taking turns from when she was born. We were taking turns helping my brother and sister-in-law kind of settle in since this is their first baby. And my sister-in-law's parents were just there for a week. This is going to be my niece's first Halloween, so I'm so excited for that, even though, obviously, she'll be like a month old, so she won't have any cognition of anything. So, next year and the year after that is more exciting when she'll start to actually understand things a little bit, because I love Halloween. Is my favorite holiday. I just like fall in general, and I'm excited to just do fall things with her when she's older, and I can take her trick-or-treating, if that's even, I don't know if that's even really still a thing. It seems like maybe it's not so much, but the apartment area that my brother and sister-in-law live in, there are quite a lot of children, so I think that's really nice for her. I've seen quite a few babies, and I want her to be able to have friends there, and maybe people do I don't know. My dad grew up in an apartment. He said people do trick-or-treating in apartments. But I'm excited for her first everything, because it'll be her first Thanksgiving, her first Christmas, and Hanukkah. I'm excited for everything. So, yeah, that's what today was. Yesterday, on Sunday, I don't think I recorded anything, but I did start a graphic novel called Exquisite Corpses, Volume 1. It's written by James Tinian IV, which I've read a few things from, and I've pretty much only just started it, so I can't really tell what I'm going to think about it. I think I'm either gonna like it, or it has potential to be kind of like trying a little too hard. So I'm not sure at this point which way it's going to go. And then I also have on Hoopla, which is a library service. I'd forgotten to mention that the other book I have is Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring. So Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, it's a graphic novel that came out, I think last year, either last year or the year before, and I read it last year. It's by Patrick Horvath. He did the writing and the art, and it's animals that behave as humans, basically, and they are in this little town, just like cute little quaint town, but the main character, a bear, is nice, important part of the town, but she's also a serial killer, and it kind of follows as something changes within the town. And it's also interesting as the main character is not a good person, and I really like morally gray or even bad main characters. I find that to be interesting focus. So Rite of Spring, the subtitle basically, is a follow-up. It's like 6 years later. It's some amount of time later from the events in the first book, and involves a sibling of one of her victims trying to figure out what happened to the missing sibling, and also other things. So far, issue 3 is what I'm on now, so that's the other thing that I'm reading that I hadn't mentioned before. There was a local street fair that on Sunday that my parents went to. I've gone to it before. I don't know how frequently it happens, but I know it's not just like a once a year thing, because I know I've been to it this year, and my parents went to it. I wasn't feeling up to going because we had done a lot on Saturday. So they went and got some new clothes for my niece. So she's always going to be getting stuff from us now. But they got some things for her. And I also wanted to show off my Junji Ito book that I have a physical copy of, and the Gravity Falls book, because both of them are, I think, really cool looking, the designs and everything. So I'm going to show those. This is my little case that I have for my books. This has padding inside, and this one is bigger for hardcover books. So I have both Venus in the Blind Spot and Book of Bill inside this one right now. So I'm going to show Junji Ito's Venus in the Blind Spot, which is a collection of short horror manga. I'm going to show what it looks like. I'm going to show the dust jacket, which there's artwork on the outside and the inside of the dust jacket, and then also the book itself. So this is what the dust jacket looks like. This is the main character, and I really like this artwork because a lot of Junji Ito's artwork, it's horror based, and although I like it, I would not consider it beautiful, but this, with the colors of the eye and the character herself, it's very beautiful, and so I really like this. And then the inside also has the same artwork. And then this is the book itself. So this is what his artwork normally is. I think it's a great art style, but also, like I said, it's not beautiful. It's horror. And then the inside here. And I believe the other side has something else. And then, okay, that I'm not going to be able to post that. This one I can post. I just think it's really beautiful in a way. I mean, this one's beautiful if you ignore that part. And even this, the colors are so nice. He just has a really cool style. This is the Book of Bill, which is from the Gravity Falls TV series, and it's having to do with the main villain, Bill. This is basically a story of kind of his life. So this is the dust jacket. This is, I think it's embossed is what the word is. And then this is what the dust jacket looks like. This whole thing. And there are these symbols all over that within the book and the first journal that they released that you can translate. So again, this one is not embossed, but it's the same symbol. And then this is from the show. They have that, and it has slight texture to it. Inside looks like this. And I know there's something on the first page. I'll flip through a few of the pages. Let's do a slight through. So far I've really liked this. I haven't finished it, but it's very interesting. Really right now I'm just trying to see if I can finish at least the book Listen to Your Sister, because that and Kill Creatures are due back to the library in 2 days. So I have to try and get myself to that. I've been having other stuff I've been focusing on and not really reading that much. So, we're just gonna have to see how much I can actually finish this month. And I also just don't know what this vlog will actually end up being, how long I'm gonna end up doing it, if I'm going to put something out weekly. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but yeah, that's what went on yesterday and I guess today so far. So last night, early this morning, I did read a few chapters of Listen to Your Sister. I doubt that I'll be finishing that before it's due today. I think it's today, either today or tomorrow. So I'll have to figure out what I'm doing about that, because I don't know when I'll be able to check it out from the library again. But I did read some of that, and then I'm also working on trying to figure out costume for this year. I know what I want to do, but I don't know that I'm going to have the time for doing it. So I'm trying to kind of figure that out. And I kind of want to do a costume for Cappuccino, my guinea pig, because I named him Cappuccino because he looks like a cappuccino. And I've been wanting for years to make a little cappuccino cup outfit for him. I don't know exactly how to do it, but I might try to do that. So today I'm going to be going to Goodwill to look for some costume stuff, hopefully. Don't know if I'll actually be able to find anything. I haven't been to Goodwill, I think, for a few years, and I've heard that they've evidently really upped their prices. I know that when I was a kid, I used to go there to put together costumes. I didn't usually buy pre-made costumes really that often. I just kind of bought pieces of things and made my own. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. I want to do a character from the manga and anime Spy Family. I've not watched the anime, I've only read the series. So I'm trying to do a particular outfit from the main female character, but I don't know how doable it's going to be because I don't want to spend a lot of money. So I'm gonna see what I'm able to do today, what I find. I have a dress from my closet that if I took apart the top and the skirt, that I think the skirt would work with a tank top that I have and put those together. I would have to try the dress on to see if it still fits, but I don't know if I want to take the dress apart because it's a nice dress. So that also is a possibility if I don't find anything at Goodwill. That's kind of some of my plans for today, and I have to continue with reading and everything. One of the books had to return to the library, and I don't know when I'm going to get that back, so I'm going to have to focus on something else. try to finish something else and try and think of what I would do for doing a costume for my guinea pig. I don't know exactly how I would make a cup in order to make him a cappuccino. I don't know what material I would use and how I would do that. So I also have to kind of think about that. Okay, I'm attempting to set this up so you can see what I'm wearing, because I'm actually wearing clothes and not just like indoor stuff today. So I went to Goodwill and I was able to get some of what I wanted. Unfortunately, the short skirt that we found, I tried it on and it fit perfectly, but it didn't have a tag. So when we went up to the register, I was there with my mom. We weren't able to actually buy it. So I got a long skirt that I'm going to use for the back of the costume that has a longer part of fabric, and then it has basically a short skirt part, and then it has what's basically a tube top. And so I was ideally looking for like a tube dress, but I wasn't able to find that. So I'm going to do 2 pieces, and then I have the long skirt. So the 2 things we actually ended up buying was a long skirt and another outfit for my niece, because it's just hard not to, is a little pink overalls. I personally like overalls. I'm wearing overalls now, and it's just this cute little light pink overalls. It's adorable. So we got that also. And it's really annoying not to... I was really upset initially. I've kind of calmed down now. I mean, I wasn't upset with the actual work, or I didn't get angry at her, and I wasn't upset at her or anything, but I was just upset with the situation initially, that I was not going to be able to use the skirt I wanted to, because now I have to find one somewhere else. But I've already kind of started to change my ideas and see what I can start working on, because there's also lots of other little pieces. So, and this is not going to be as good as like cosplayers do. It's just not going to, and that's all right. So that's what's going on with all of that. This is Larry. He has decided to climb into a bag. He is now coming home with us. This is probably going to be pretty quick because I am tired. I'm sure I look tired. I am currently at my brother's house. I'm going to be here for a few days helping with my niece for a little bit. And so I don't know how much reading I will end up getting done. I'm going to currently try and take a little bit of a nap. Really, everything will kind of work out with my normal sleep schedule, which is that I take a nap in the evening and then I'm usually up most of the night, early morning. So when I wake up, I'll watch over the baby and, watch her in the bassinet and hold her while she's sleeping and do all of that. If I need to wake up her parents, I will. But I held her for a few hours as she was sleeping, and so that was nice. That's basically what's been going on, and just driving here and everything. So I'm going to do that. I have not read anything today. I'm going to attempt to at some point, but I don't really like taking my concentration off of her, even if I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm just holding her. I still feel like if I take my concentration off of her to like really get absorbed into reading, that I don't know. I don't think anything would happen, but still could. So I don't know how comfortable I would be reading while I'm watching her. So I have a loud fan going, so I don't know how well this is going to work. I might have to re-record later, but I have made actually a lot of progress in reading. I finished 2 things and was able to read a little bit of another book. I don't know if I'm just going to do more in detail when I actually get home later today, when it'll hopefully just be a little quieter and I can be louder, because I don't want to disturb anyone else in the house. But I've been fairly busy. I've had a good time being able to help out with my niece, and I was able to read a lot more than I expected. So I think I'll just give more detailed review of what I read and finished and everything when I get back home. But I have been able to make progress, which is good. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but that's Larry, and he's just staring at me. It's several days later than the last video that I recorded, and I still need to do a update video on, hold on, my guinea pig was asking for snacks. You can do snacks later. I've read a lot recently and I want to update on that. I just have to have like enough energy to do a little bit of a longer video, like going into it and everything. I've been pretty busy. I, was spending time with my niece, and that was a lot of like late night, early morning time, and then I was back home and trying to recover. But then like also the very next day that I was home, I had a cardiologist appointment, and I'm going back tomorrow. It's Sunday now. We went to my brother's again to see my niece, and Monday, tomorrow, I'm going to do some of the tests, and then later in the week get like a thing put on that like continuously monitors my heart rate. So I don't think anything serious is going on, so I don't think it's like anything to really be too worried about. But I've just been having some stuff going on the last few months that we're kind of trying to figure out what's happening. So I've gotten into the cardiologist finally to see if that's what it is. Like that's what's going, that's kind of been taking up some time, and I'm starting physical therapy again, and it's like that kind of stuff like always takes up time and energy, and I just haven't been able to record anything else. So, and I've also been working on finishing editing a video. I am done with the editing, except for now I have to blur out some stuff. Like my dog's tags and stuff. And that takes time. But then I'm done with that, and then I want to figure out what I'm doing with this, how I'm splitting it up, and potentially try and do a video of recommending horror books. I've done that last year and I think the year before, but I would like to do something maybe shorter and also including books from this year. So I just don't know that that's all gonna happen though, because filming and then editing a whole nother video on top of what I'm currently doing with this vlog. I don't know. We'll see. That's that. I don't usually record my meals just because I like to eat them pretty quickly, but this one is pretty nice with the tart and everything, so I decided I'd try and add this to the vlog. My dad makes most of our dinners, so he made all of this. I'm not sure what this is exactly. I thought that it was risotto, but it's some sort of noodles. This is a tart, and his tart crusts are so good, so I'm very excited for this. And he does the tart crust from scratch, and then this is also, I took a bite from it already. You can see this is bread that he made from scratch too. So I'm excited to eat all of this. I don't know what these little guys are, but they might be mushrooms. But I'm excited for this meal. Our dinners are always very good. My dad makes 2 meals a week on the weekends, and then we just cycle through those in the week. So, yep. This is my books that I read, which I haven't talked about yet. I'm just going to do a voiceover with pictures of my animals because that's going to be quicker and easier for me to edit. So first, I'm going to review and talk about the book Exquisite Corpses, which I finished volume 1, and I also read issues 4 and 5 of that. It's written by James Tinian IV, and I believe there's various artists. The one that I wrote down is Michael Walsh. So at this point, I'm still not exactly sure what I think of this series, but I was interested enough after the first volume, which I think was 1 through 3. I was interested enough to continue and read issues 4 and 5, and I've read more than that now, but I don't remember how many more I've read. So, I'm interested enough to be continuing on with it. I've read some James Tynion books before, and I like his ideas, but sometimes the final execution isn't always completely there. This particular comic is about fighters that represent each of the original 13 states, and they are representing the state and also a wealthy family that basically runs that state, and all these fighters are fighting to the death for some prize. And so it's action, it's violent, it's interesting, it's fun to read, but there are aspects of it that can kind of feel like it's trying too hard. So I kind of will have to just continue with it and see a bit more, I think, before I can form a more definite opinion and say if it lands more on it being good or it trying a little too hard to be edgy. Next was a single issue. I don't usually count single issues at Goodreads, but I'm still going to talk about this. It's Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, the follow-up series called Rite of Spring. This is issue number 3. The previous series and this one are both written and drawn by Patrick Horvath, and I've been reading this sequel, the issue 1, issue 2, and as of recording this, I've read more now, and I would recommend both the original Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, and also so far Rite of Spring. At this point, not too much has happened yet in Rite of Spring. It's still setting up the story, I think, but this one takes place 8 years in the future after everything that happened in the original series. And then I would assume this one will be as well. There is a fair amount of gore, but it's cartoon animals, fairly realistic animals, and they're human-like. They stand upright, they wear clothes, they have jobs and drive cars and everything, but there's killing and the characters being chopped up and things like that. So I guess just be aware of that. This one so far, I don't believe there's anything like that. And so with this one, there's just now a new problem has kind of popped up for the protagonist. But what I think is interesting about the original series is that the protagonist is a villain, and I love characters that are either morally gray or anti-heroes, or this protagonist is an outright villain, and I just think that's more interesting. So yeah, I would so far recommend this, but I, of course, can't fully say until the whole series is out. And then I continued reading Kawabana, which is a Japanese book of basically, not exactly creepypastas, but stories that were written on Japanese message boards of supposedly true creepy stories that happen to people, and they're all translated by the author Tara A. Devlin. And I had never heard of this book before, but I got it in a blind book little surprise package that I purchased, and it was just kind of a fun surprise because this is something that I have an interest in, and it's just a fun little thing to read. It's definitely something that I would read through on the internet, and so it is interesting to have it in book form. I'm just kind of occasionally reading through it. It's not something that I'm trying to really finish quickly. It's just kind of occasionally read a few stories, and so it's fun to have. I think it's an interesting book, but I would also just look for the author's stories online. She has a blog that's the same name, Kawabana, so I would just look for that. I also finished Venus and the Blind Spot, which is a collection of stories by Junji Ito. It's a manga, and I believe it's all short stories. Sometimes he'll have a bigger overarching story and then short stories, but I don't think there is any larger story in this one. A few of the stories were his retellings of other authors' stories, and some were his originals. I had given this 4 stars on Goodreads. I think it was one of my more enjoyed collections of his. I always like his books, but the collections, I think really any anthology or collection, they can be hit or miss because some stories are going to be better than others. There wasn't really any that I disliked, I think. I also didn't necessarily have a standout, I don't think. I mean, the title story, Venus in the Blind Spot, that one was good. Human Chair, I liked that one too. And I would say The Enigma of Amagara Vaults. Those would maybe be my top, but I think the strongest thing with Junji Ito is the artwork and the ideas. So I'm gonna continue reading more of his work, and I was happy to finish this one. The last book I finished was called Strange Pictures, and it's by Uketsu. This is a novel, but it has pictures in it, drawn pictures in every chapter that are important to the story. So this isn't something that you could listen to on audiobook. The visuals are very important, and there's not too much I can really explain about it without really ruining it, because the surprises and the twists in it, that's what I think is just really good about it. Everything that you continue to find out as more information is revealed. But there's I think it was 4 chapters, and each one is a different story that starts off with a different picture or set of pictures, and there is some sort of mystery or unsolved aspect having to do with those pictures. And I thought that it was all really well written, and I wanted to continue finding out what was happening next. But I was also continuing to form my own ideas about everything. So it's definitely one that I recommend. If you've made it to the end of the video, thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Like if you want to, and think about subscribing. I'm thinking about starting to read off my subscribers' names at the end of longer videos. So if you would like to have your name read off at the end of a video, put your account on public so that I can see your name if you're a subscriber. If you don't want your name read and you're a subscriber, then you can put your account on private. Thanks again for watching, and have a good day.